Hello everybody, welcome to Idle Game Chat. This is Dimp Digital's weekly video games podcast. You've got myself, Apps, here running the operations as usual, and I'm joined by the one, the only, Logan.
Left on his own. A risky manoeuvre.
Well, this is desperation. It's not out of want or need. This is just what happens sometimes when planning goes out the window, when people are playing Destiny for 4 nights running.
That
ain't helping anything, is it?
No.
So, anyway, how are you doing? The standard question did not get asked.
Yeah, not too bad, mate. You?
Well...
Stressed out by the sounds of it.
It's this Skype, isn't it? We use Skype to record this, and it really just... It's not really Skype's fault. It's the PC's fault, in all honesty.
Skype getting the brunt of it.
This PC's dead. I mean, it can barely do anything. It needs to be binned and a new one, but that's, at the moment, in terms of priorities, is low, which is unfortunate if you guys are listening, because it basically means I don't give a shit. So the day this PC dies, the podcast will be gone for God knows how long until I get a new one. But before we start proper, got a correction for the second week running. So... unlike most podcasts, I welcome these corrections. So if you hear any during the podcast, send them my way, because I will call them out.
What's wrong, then?
Well, it's only minor things. It's just like a factual piece of information. Like last week, me and Hall said there might be microtransactions in Super Mario Run, and they categorically come out and said there won't be any at the conference. So shouldn't have even scared people into thinking that. This time it was more of a slip of a tongue. And I was going through and I rely on you. There was 2 of you there, so you're both as responsible as I was. You should have been calling this out and said, "Look, Apps, you've messed that up." But you're both in La La Land, assumedly you in paper. I was going through the game releases from last week. Forza Horizon 3, that was out. That's been out. I said it's available on Xbox One and PlayStation 3. I said PS3.
It's not even on PS4, is it?
No, so not only is it the wrong platform, because it's a Microsoft exclusive, it's the wrong generation. So you ain't getting that on PS3 at all. It is a Microsoft game. It will never, I'll say never, it should never appear on a Sony platform. And I obviously meant to say PC, but blew it and said PS3.
Well,
so that is what
I'll switch off for them.
Well, sometimes they're there to create more discussion, but it was run against the clock yesterday, so it was a rush job. I mean, the clock is arbitrary. I'll make it up. It can run for an hour and a half. It just depends how tired I get, and I was sick of it by that point. But I obviously meant to say PC, so apologies to any of you out there that went out searching for Horizon 3 on PS3. Although, again, if you didn't realise it weren't going to be on PS3, I don't think you deserve to have your time wasted. If you've gone out there looking for that, you should question yourself.
Don't deserve to listen to this podcast if that's.
Well, don't say that, because we need everyone we can get. But I'm just saying, if you've wasted your time looking for that, you're partly to blame, probably more than 80%, and I'll take the rest up, and I'm happy with that.
Sounds fair.
Yeah. Again, that was a very clumsy way of trying to segue into Forza Horizon 3, because that was one of last week's planned subjects. As mentioned, poor time management meant it didn't make it. But we've got time to chat about it now. We've got all the time in the fucking world, it seems.
This is basically like last week part 2, isn't it?
Yeah,
That's what this is.
Yeah, it is. And less preparation as well. So even better for those at home that are wanting the professional cut. But we was planning to talk about this. Paper was going to be binned off and sent on his way. We spoke too long about Destiny and, in fact, the Tomorrow Children, which I think, if you time it, end up taking up most of the podcast. Unbelievable for a 3 out of 10 game in some people's eyes.
Because it took 20 minutes for Paper to explain what the game was.
To be fair, he did take a while selling that game to you guys, and he didn't need to sell anything because it's coming free to play hopefully soon. But Forza Horizon 3, I spent, I should say, a good deal of time within the demo messing around. Haven't actually played a Forza Horizon game before. Not even the there's a Fast and Furious kind of DLC standalone, wasn't there?
Yeah, that was good. That.
Yeah, you played through that piece, and I haven't even done that. So maybe I should have probably gone back and done. Yeah, I didn't have time. I know Hall did it because it was an easy 1000G.
Yeah.
So wherever there's G's to be had, he'll be lurking regardless of category. Even if he hates the game, he'll be there. But I was reasonably impressed with what I played. I spent a few hours in there. It lets you kind of just roam about for a while. Okay, the map's very, condensed. You can't go very far before it goes, get the game, essentially. But the critics for this game they are blown away by it. It's receiving massive scores, coming in at a 92.39% on game rankings. That puts it third below Uncharted and Inside. Assumedly, by your reaction, are you surprised with the success this has been with the reviewers out there?
I think I'm surprised that what is essentially a racing game gets them reviews, because I think we've got to a point now where we know what they're doing. Like, does that make sense? Like, we've reached a point where I don't see how much better they can get, but like they're not typically, for me, high scorers. They're middle of the road average job is.
Yeah.
To me, that's how a racer fits in. I don't think anyone generally gets blown away by it. You go on it and you go, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, you even get some outlets. It's normally the slightly smaller ones who either outsource the review to someone else, like a freelance, or just don't cover it in that vein because they don't have someone there that they feel that's specialised or into races. Because it does seem like a little bit of a niche. It is a bit of a niche, I believe, in terms of if you look at the games that we discuss and what the media tend to normally go for. A racer's not there, is it? Traditional racing game is not there. But I think what's happened with Horizon 3, despite this surprising success of it with the reviews, and I'll be very interested to see the sales of it, but I think that this type of racer lends itself to, and this is the wrong terminology, but it's the only way I can describe it in my own head, and yet you're going to get that coming out of my gob, lends itself to traditional gamers. So I think if you look at, a sim-based racer, that is typically will struggle with the critics generally because there's the factor that they don't like motorsport or racing. It can be intimidating, in terms of sitting down and playing it. You think, I don't know cars, I don't like cars. But something like Horizon is on the other side of the scale, isn't it? This is an arcade, open world driving game where you can just chill out for all intents and purposes. You can drive your truck through the outback of Australia and not really do a lot if you don't want to. But I think that sort of stuff, that racing where it's not as strict, it's not as kind of tight in its control, it's a bit more loose, it's a lot more quote-unquote fun. I believe people are enjoying this a lot more than they would do if I sat them down and went, right, let's play iRacer now, the subscription-based NASCAR clone, let's play that. Because that's all about immersing you into the motorsport that it's trying to perceive. Whereas this, is for all intents and purposes more gamified. You look at the sort of stuff they did. Do you agree with that stance, or am I off base?
Yeah, I think you're almost spot on.
Still criticising.
I think it appeals to casual gamers as well. I think it appeals to a lot of markets. For me, where I sit with it is I love cars.
Yep.
Big into fast cars, love it. But I'm not hugely into motorsport. Funnily enough, it's not. I don't mind a bit of F1 and a bit of BTCC and stuff like that, but Tocker was good, yeah. I don't mind a bit of that sort of stuff, but I'm not hugely into it. And I think we're having a conversation with Chappers about this, and he's big on his sims. And I said to him, look, I'll be doing driving all day. I don't need that simulator in my life. I do the driving. I know what it feels like to drive.
What about a Ferrari though? Bomb it round Brands Hatch.
It ain't any different. It's just a bit quicker. When you boil it down to the basics, it's the same stuff, isn't it? You're changing gear, you're turning the steering wheel, you're accelerating, braking. You're doing exactly the same thing. You're just doing it quicker.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you drive, and it is like trying to be Lewis Hamilton, so dangerous. So if you ever see Logan on the roads, get out of the way.
Yeah.
That's simulation.
I'm not interested in somebody simulating the conditions of rain I'm not interested in that. What I want to do is what I don't actually do in my car, really, which is have fun.
No, because you can't.
Driving. Because you can't drive like that on the normal road.
Sit in that traffic, you can't do anything.
Yeah, you can barely get up to 15 mile an hour at the minute. But yeah, so what I want to do on a driving game is not be confined by the boundaries of realism. I want to be doing the things that I want to do in a car, or what I think I should be doing in a car when I'm racing. So if that's doing unrealistic turns, sort of hitting corners too fast, but it's good fun. Like I like that. I like doing it and going, that was a good race. That was a good track. That was like, it was interesting.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, or what I think Forza, especially Horizons, does well,
Yeah.
is that it incorporates what everybody wants from a racing game. So, and look, it's not unrealistic, but I think you got the point. It is an arcade race, so you're not bound by the fact that you've got to change gear on time or anything like that.
No.
But it's just good fun to play, and you can choose what sort of race you want to do. You can do any sort of race with any sort of car type, or it gives it over to you and says, right, what do you want to do tonight? How do you want to race? What do you want to race?
Yeah, and you don't even have to race. Like
No.
there are things in Horizon 3 where it'd be like, do a freaking, I don't know, handbrake turn and get a certain amount of points. There's stunt jumps to do. There's all sorts of things to do other than racing, which in a way, if you look at it that way, kind of, if we tie it down as a race, that's probably a little bit unfair, because it actually offers a lot more than what something like a Project Cars, which I've got sitting here, because that is an out and out racer. This, you can do other things. You can work on building up this freaking festival type business, and getting fans, doing stunts, doing crazy stuff, and it's all about showboating sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right like that. It gives variety, and I played a lot of Horizons too.
Well, that's what I wanted to get onto. Yeah, I wanted to get onto Horizons 2 because you spent an awful lot of time playing that and seemed to enjoy it. And I don't think we ever sat down and spoke about it in any sort of great depth.
No, we didn't, and I think it goes under the radar a little bit. These sort of games, I think they're sort of poo-pooed. If that makes sense, so that they're not really.
I'd written it off. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'd written this off as 7 or 8 out of 10. I would never even dream of getting it. Really, like unless I had unlimited time, then I'll go right. I'll play it. But having seen the reception it's got, I was like, well, now, I'll fancy picking this up at some point.
Yeah, they're not games that I look for sort of to get on release. They're sort of games that I look at maybe once they've dropped in price a bit and I'll play.
Yeah.
But I think in the end, Horizons 2 was my most played game of last year on the Xbox.
Jesus.
And I didn't even see that one coming at all.
No.
So it's easy to lose yourself in it. Like I used to get onto it and I used to go, right, I'll do a couple of races, and if I go, I'm a bit sick of that, I'll just get in a car that I like driving or I like the look of or whatever, and I'll drive around and I'll hit some of the boards down or go and find some of the boards and stuff like that, and just do little bits and bobs like that in the world. The worlds look pretty good and the roads are okay, and it's just it just hands the reins over to you, I think, really well, and says, do what you like. Because in theory, an open world racer, it shouldn't really work that well.
No. I mean, we had the Crew that was dropped, a couple of years ago, and that didn't work as well. Probably other reasons for it, but people were like, "Oh, look, you can drive across the whole of America." Pretty much, it's scaled down, and that seemed really exciting. But that never quite took off, and now that's in everyone's freebie. Everyone's got that as a freebie via either Uplay or I think it's even I've got it on Xbox One now. So that struggled, but for some reason, Horizons, even I'd say 2, started picking up some momentum, and 3 is just, I'm blown away by how people are reacting to it and how much they enjoy it.
I think it's worth pointing out as well that the actual racing mechanics are really solid.
Right.
Like
yeah.
It's
easy to overlook that.
It is good to the cars feel. I think when I played the other one, I forgot what it is now. Brain Meltdown. Help me out.
What we're looking at?
That other open worlder.
Crew.
Yep. When I played the Crew, I think it came out on like Alpha, didn't it, or Beta?
Yeah, we played
Me
the beta.
and you both picked it up, didn't we? And the car felt very rigid. It didn't feel very manoeuvrable.
Bolted to the ground. What's going on here?
It was bolted to the ground. Yeah, it just didn't feel very natural. It felt really artificial, and it just didn't. It just didn't translate back to your controller what you were doing. It just wasn't very good. And I think that is something that's easily overlooked by Forza, is how well the cars handle, how well they look, the realism. So when you say it's not a sim, actually in a lot of ways I think the cars do handle quite well.
They handle well, and I guess the thing is they're enjoyable to drive regardless of what discipline or what you're doing. Like you're not like with the Crew, it just wasn't enjoyable to drive around in those cars. I can't put my finger on why exactly, but it just didn't feel natural. And this, even though in many ways it's not natural, it was good fun to drive around, and just go, oh fuck it, I'm gonna go off road, and start tearing off up there. I think that definitely helps. Do you feel like the location? This one's set in Australia, Forza Horizon 3. I think 2 was set somewhere around Europe. You probably know better than me.
Yeah, it was.
But do you think that having somewhere like Australia, which is quite a sought-after destination, especially for Brits, people always say, I'd love to go out there and visit it, and having this option, although it's not going to be accurate in terms of how it looks, just having something set there, do you feel like that's helped it out a little bit?
I don't know. I feel like the location's a bit arbitrary. It doesn't seem to I quite liked Forza Horizon.
The Outback.
Yeah, I liked it. It felt like loads of little mini cities in one. Forza Horizon. So it's really hard to explain. So it's like you'd be in this really old Italian city, and then you'd be out in a rural town, and then you'd so there's all sort of mini locations in one, and I quite like that because it's easy to not feel like you're going to a different city or a different town. So they differentiated them quite well. So if they've done that again, I think that's quite nice. It's nice to have different locations to drive in.
Yeah, I think it is a diverse country, so there's all sorts to knock around in. Like I said, you've got the outback, you've got built up cities, you've got rural areas, beaches. There are these locations in the game, and I've seen them and driven around them, and that does definitely help and add to it. Forests, it's like, what the hell? Didn't know they existed, but they're knocking around. I think it's helped a little bit. I'm not sure that people have ever wanted to drive around a European area for whatever reason. It's kind of like a casual, but Australia, as soon as you say it, you think of fun, you think of off-road, you think of
road trips.
Yeah, and I think they've done well to do that. Looking back at my kind of what I look for in a racer, I have been more inclined. I like motorsport. I don't like cars, which might sound like a load of old bollocks, but I know what I mean, and I know you do, really. Yeah. So things like Gran Turismo got great racing, I know that, but for some reason it never resonated with me because I never got into online. There's some very dedicated groups out there that do proper racing, and they race fairly. But typically, if you go on a random lobby, it's just going to be like banger racing. You think, oh, what the hell is this? And then when you got to the campaign, it was very car focused. I always felt, you wanted to buy the next car, you wanted to buy your dream car and do it up, and it was all around the car. And Forza again had that kind of style where you would build a library of cars and you'd go out and race these road cars in track races. Something like Project Cars, which is what I've got, Game of the Year edition. I don't know how they can say that because I don't know any outlet that gave that Game of the Year last year. That is mental. But that is Motorsport 101. Like, you race in disciplines. The career takes you you can go from karting up to like their version of F1, which I think is called A1 or something along those lines. Or you can do touring cars. You can do a version of British touring cars, European touring cars. You can do endurance racing. It's got all these different kind of great disciplines that you can immerse yourself in. So someone like me who watches a fair amount of motorsport and enjoys it and has enjoyed going to it, it seems like the perfect game for me in that sense. But I'm really struggling to connect with it. And it's not the game. It plays brilliantly, plays well. It's got everything you'd ever want, I think, if you're a motorsport fan. But I like the look of Horizon 3 more. And now there's a conundrum because I don't know whether my tastes are changed, whether I'm kind of done with these circuit racing motorsport games, and really what I'm after is a more light-hearted, good time, piss around racer or open world driving experience, whatever you want to call it.
Do you know what I think?
Yeah,
is stress. Driving is stressful. So you're simulating a stressful experience. So your brain is not going to willingly go, I want that stress. Like, it's not even good stress. It's not like bloodborne stress.
No, well,
it's driving stress, which is probably one of the worst types.
I hate it. I hate driving.
And that's the part of the problem. I think to love a driving simulator, you've got to love driving. And I like driving. If we're going places, I'll happily drive or whatever. I've got no problem. I like driving.
Yeah.
I just don't. I don't like the idea of having to sit there when I've got my dream car in front of me, and I've got to concern myself with not spinning the back wheels out because of a bit of light rain.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's the trouble, is that you can get, or one of the appeals of Forza Horizons, for example, is you can get in it and drive it to the max, regardless almost the weather condition. I mean, obviously it becomes a bit more slippery and stuff, but you can drive those cars to the max, and you can, although it's not a simulator, you can still immerse yourself in it, and you're going, right, I'm driving this 911, or
Yeah.
I'm driving this Aston Martin, or even if it's not even that, even to bring it down to a basic level, you go, I'm driving this nice Ford Focus, or whatever. And you can have fun doing it, and it's not particularly stressful.
Yeah.
And that's for me where there's a difference. I mean, look, I can hear Chappers already. He's going to be doing his nut at this, but. And look, I've got nothing against anyone that wants to play a driving game and play it like real life, because I completely understand why you'd want to do that as well. But for me, I don't want to have to get in an Aston Martin and go, is the traction control on, yes or no? Do I want that on, yes or no? And then if I have it on no, then I've got to deal with the back end, and I've got to do all that. I haven't got my foot there feathering against a pedal, or do you know what I mean? I've got to do it on a paddle, on a controller, or
I think that's a big point, isn't it? If you're going to play a serious racer like a Project Cars, like an Assetto Corsa, like a Forza standard one, or even a Gran Turismo as well, having a wheel. The more I play Project Cars with my pad, and the more I kind of don't feel like I'm in control or struggle. I think, if I had a wheel, this would be 8 times more enjoyable. So if you're inclined to go down that route, I think you almost need to invest in one of those, because that definitely makes things easier in the long run and makes the whole game experience much better. And
I still struggle to connect with it. I must admit, for a simulator, I still struggle. You don't get that feedback, no matter what they do. For me, you just don't get that same feedback.
I'm not well, I think if you gave it enough time and got used to it, you would. But
I think it's just you adapting to it. For example, like my steering is quite heavy in my car.
Yeah.
You can't really simulate that with a wheel. I don't know. And they always feel really plasticky, and like,
it depends what wheel you've played. The ones that there are like the Thrustmaster ones. They're decent. And the force feedback on those things are pretty good. Like the steering, you can obviously have it as light or as heavy as you want. If you want it a bit tougher, you can set that. If you go over a rumble strip, if you go over a bump, you can feel it all through the wheel. It's incredible, but you can't. That is almost half the experience. They're lost as soon as you pick up a controller. And something like Forza Horizon 3 means that we can sit down, not have a wheel, and have just as much fun as someone with a wheel. Yeah. Because you don't have to be as precise with what you're doing. And you're not trying to simulate the perfect lap, which in motorsport, typically, that's what you're striving to do, aren't you? Yeah. You're striving to get that perfect lap. You can be a bit clumsy on Forza Horizon 3, and it's going to work. And I can see this being a bit of a turning point. I can see this being... more games looking down this route and going, right, we want a piece of that pie. Obviously depends on sales, because you can review the best in the world. If it bombs with the sales, then there won't be as many kind of clones, quote unquote, coming out. But I expect to see there's going to be a Forza Horizon 4 in a couple of years, and that'll be coming out. And this goes alongside and sits proudly now alongside the standard Forza series, I feel. It's branched off, and before everyone was like, oh, that's a bit of a joke, isn't it? What's that open? Oh, what are they doing now? Who's laughing now? They are. They're going, go on. That is now a valid entry into Forza, and it's earned the Forza name.
Yeah, I think so. I think I think they could still make it a bit clearer between what is Forza and what is, the open world stuff. I suppose you've got Horizons, but I don't know. I don't know whether
I'd come back and say those people looking for it on PS3, that's the same boat as them. They deserve to have their time wasted. If they're going to go and get Forza 5 by accident, it's your own fault. Do your research, for goodness sake.
But I think there's a big market for this sort of this game. I mean, look at what happened in GTA 5, for example, and GTA 4, really. Yeah. How many people probably sit there night on night playing the races on them?
It's mad, isn't it?
And it's just it's such a small part of that game, but because they've got the handling right and it's good fun, you can play it all night.
Yeah, and we did.
Yeah, and it's a similar thing, I think, with Horizons.
Yeah, I agree. Looking forward to eventually getting my hands on that one. I will get it. Project Cars needs some time, really. It's been unfairly put in a dark light here, but for a motorsport fan, I don't think you can ask for much more if you want all that. And obviously, people have their preferences. It's very very siloed. I find people don't tend to switch from one sim to another. Once you find your sim, you'll stick with it, which is what you want to do because you want to be consistent. But Horizon 3 so far is a success and well done, because I did not expect that, and I don't think many people did. That is a superb score, and I just hope that the sales validate and back that up, and we get some more about it.
Should have picked that one in the fantasy gaming draft.
If someone had picked that, you'd have been laughed out the building.
Instead of bloody thingy,
you'd have probably been close to winning.
I'd have taken the title, I reckon.
What did you have? The other Recall might have let you down bad, but we all had at least one let down. So maybe you'd have got on. But if you'd picked that, me and Hall would have laughed at you. We would have all sat there and gone.
Do you know what?
So would the audience. They would have all laughed at you.
Interesting, I think.
Yeah, they would have laughed. You'd have been. Everyone would go, "What is that mad
I'd have
doing?"
been sitting there going, "Ah."
He's chose Doom and Forza Horizon 3. Is he bent in the head?
Title.
Well, we'll see.
Didn't I pick Doom?
Yeah, you did. That's what I'm saying. Because you picked again, that was another one where I was expecting it to be crap. Most people expected it to be crap. They didn't let anyone review it till the day. Done all right in the end.
Yeah.
That's two, which I don't think that's two you could have intentionally got and taken a profit from it.
Logan knows.
I don't think you knew about doing. That's luck there. Let's move on to a rather heated debate, because every year, every September, we get this.
And it's all kicked off today as well.
And it's all kicked off today within the Dimp ranks. It's FIFA versus PES, or Pro Evo, whatever you want to call it, Pro Evolution Soccer.
Yeah.
2017 editions out for both.
Yep.
You look at reviews, you look at the game rankings, you look at whatever. PES slightly edging it. FIFA doesn't tend to review badly because
never will.
It's ingrained, and it's not a bad game really when you look at it. But PES is a fluctuate. It's a lucky dip in it. You think, well, what are we getting this year?
Yeah.
What have they done this year?
That is exactly it. They don't get what they've got, and then go, we'll tweak it slightly like FIFA do.
Yeah, I feel like they have in the last 2 or 3, but definitely before that it was like.
Feels like every year they go, new engine.
Yeah.
Whole new engine.
Yeah, you don't know what you're going to get. So they're both out, and FIFA will sell 10 times as much as Pro Evo easily. It doesn't matter what happens, that will sell 10 times as much. So there's no point in even talking about that side of things. They will always win, for rightly or wrongly. But we've both played the FIFA and PES demos, and I wanted to wait until both games are out because I was interested to see the reception they were getting in the media. And PES 2017, some outlets say it's the best football game ever made in terms of its gameplay. And FIFA's been, it's good. It's more of the same. We've got new features like the journey, which are adding a new dimension to it. But I want to hear your opinion. Having spent a load of time in both demos, which one out of the two would you say plays the best? Let's just start this. Let's break this down because you can't. We'll do all the separate bits later, but what one plays the best?
Yeah, Pro Evo. It's as simple as that. It plays a lot smoother, and
Adkins says it's robotic.
What is?
PES.
No.
It's nonsense.
I don't know what that comment validates as. I don't know what that translates into, the word robotic. It's throwaway almost. I don't know what he's read that somewhere and just regurgitated it because I don't know what that means. I genuinely don't. I don't know how a football game can be robotic. I don't know what that means. Does he mean that the players don't feel?
He's coming on later. I'll ask him.
I don't know what it means.
Yeah, he's a bit of a nonsense one, but I would agree with you. Long and short of it, PES played really well. I enjoyed the games. It was a lot like last year's one, which wasn't a bad thing because I felt that was on the border of being superior. Playing FIFA, I struggled, and it's not like I'm PES through and through now.
No.
I have not played a lot of football on either for the last few years, but before, perhaps 2-3 years ago, I was getting FIFA like 3-4 years in a row. So it's not like you get those people, as soon as it's change, it stings them in the gameplay. Even if generally it feels better on the other one, because you've been playing the style. Like it's with FIFA, because Adkins has migrated, and he's been playing FIFA for what 6 years now, maybe longer, 7, 8 years perhaps. You get used to that style of play. So as soon as something different comes along, it is very difficult to then put that away and play something that plays quite differently, and then be happy with it, because it doesn't do the same things as what FIFA does. You know, he doesn't move like he doesn't feel like that, and that can be a source of frustration. It's a source of frustration for me, because I feel like it's never going to get a chance to compete, because brainwashing is not the right word, but the fans are there and the fan base is there. They are happy with the way FIFA plays. There's no way you can convince Biff to ever try Pro Evo. And it's a shame.
Yeah, I think so.
We use that word sometimes. It is a shame. The only people I don't feel sorry for is Konami. Obviously not in my good books. They destroyed the Metal Gear franchise, which is coming later. But in terms of the game itself, PES Productions developing, they're never going to get the credit they deserve. And it is their own fault. Let's not lie, because when it come to the Xbox 360 and PS3, they fucking blew it. They blew it for years on end. Worst entries. They were PS2 and FIFA that was light years. Anyone that played FIFA on the PS2 and said that was better objectively, I very rarely would say it. So I think that's mental. Like, that is mad. Pro Evo on PS2 and other platforms, which are escaping me, I felt was easily the best and was untouchable. And then we get the Xbox 360 version, the PS3 version, and then they just chuck it. And what FIFA do, which is handy, is they actually produce a good playing game as well. You can't deny that either. That was sort of the 08, 09 and into the 10s. They were good FIFAs, weren't they?
So where I sat with it was, now I'm trying to cast my mind back. I think for 09, 010 and 11...
Yeah.
No. 08, 09, 010, I was Pro Evo through and through.
Oh, right, you got that far with them.
Yeah, I only played Pro Evo.
Yeah.
I didn't even pick up FIFA. And then I think it was FIFA 10,
right,
or FIFA 11, where Pro got dropped and FIFA got installed. And since then, they've never recovered.
No. They lost all that good work they did. They abused their fans, and that is what happens. It's their own fault, really, when you look at that. But talking about this year's one, I think it plays better.
Yep.
Unfortunately, that isn't what you can't always rely on that. And I think this is where FIFA starts to turn the screw on them, because on the pitch plays brilliantly, but everything else about FIFA, they're just dominant, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. I mean, I think, we've both watched the video, haven't we, of side-by-side comparisons.
The graphics,
when you actually see them side by side,
it's shocking, isn't it?
FIFA is so far ahead; it is unbelievable.
It's an absolute eye opener watching that, and I think it was Digital Foundry who did that. They do a side by side FIFA versus PES 2017, and they try and reenact the scenes as best they can. They're not exact, but
they're pretty bloody good.
It's pretty accurate, and
I think they said they use the same controller for both.
Oh, right, yeah.
So they're doing exactly the same thing on both games with one controller.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it is night and day almost. I was shocked when I saw
I was as well, because I actually didn't think Pro Evo was a bad-looking game at all.
No.
And then when you sit them side by side, you go... Ooh.
Right. Yeah, you think they've had a stinker there. And the thing is, I'm not going to go into the players' faces, because that's all down to licensing as good as. Like, if PES have got a license for someone, I feel like they do a better job, but then FIFA do a better job on others. It's just like preferences, isn't it? Who they're marketing with, if they've got Ronaldo as the front cover, he's going to look the best, or he looks like a moron in both in this year's one, which I don't know how that's happening. Best player in the world. Ooh, controversial. So yeah, it really opened my eyes. I was like, Jesus, FIFA looks better, and it's not even talk about the commentary and the match day feel, because I remember when we had the discussion probably 2 years ago, that was one of your points that I just could not argue about, was that, the experience of a match day feel you can't get close to what FIFA are offering.
No, and it's still the same, I think. Yeah.
So that's an interesting point, though, because you said, I want the simulatory experience, and that was the word that was used.
But they still had the gameplay for me 2 years ago.
You think it's dropped off then?
Like... Yeah. For me, I'm a bit reluctant to say it's dropped off. It's
all
changed.
Yeah, none of this is objective. This is all opinion.
Yeah.
So let's just put that out there. Apart from PES being better on PS2, that's just fact for those. But yeah.
Yeah, for me, I think they've made it too complicated. Yeah. I think that for me is what they've done, and it doesn't resonate with me. Don't get me wrong, I don't want it to be too easy, but I don't want to. It moves too quickly for you to be able to think of everything on the fly.
I'll tell you what doesn't help FIFA, and something I've noticed. I don't know whether this will make sense to people, but it feels animation heavy. Like when you turn a player, the game prioritizes the player's animation over your input. So I feel like sometimes there's like just a slight delay when you want to do something, just because he's not finished doing his graceful, fantastic looking, running animation. It just a very, very small time, and it's very frustrating in a game like that where it is down to time a lot of the time. Whereas I find that PES has always been, the animations look fine, they're great, but the control, when you've got the control in your hand, you're moving around and you're passing and knocking the ball around, it feels tight, it feels responsive. I just feel like you look at the presentation being a strong point of FIFA and the graphics and how it looks. I feel like they almost hold themselves back slightly because they are so animation heavy and they want everything to animate as they want it, rather than just saying, no, I want you to change direction now. I don't need Ronnie messing around, just putting his arm backwards before he's going to do it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it does it intuitively. It feels like it has to make that effort to do it. Yeah. And one thing that really annoys me, that I think I said to Biff earlier, that symbolise it, is you haven't just got a pass anymore, and it doesn't just calculate how far the pass needs to go by the amount of power you put on the ball. Yeah. You have to choose whether you want a normal pass or a driven pass. Yeah. But the normal pass, to me, even if you hit it really hard, doesn't go hard enough.
So it's nerfed it almost, perhaps.
Yeah, but then you get the driven pass.
The driller.
And it literally, no matter how hard it feels like you do it, it drills it into their feet to the point where you can't do it. And I just think, what are we doing here? Like, why can I not just pass the fucking ball? And why have they got, like, a high lobbed pass, a medium pass? Like, if you hold R1, it's like driven. Like, what are we doing? A lobbed pass is a lobbed pass. Just do it. Like, they've put too many variances in for me. And this is what bolting shit on. Stop bolting shit on.
But they didn't bolt anything on. People go, that's the same as last year. You haven't even got a driven pass. This time they can go, look, driven pass, which I think's been there a couple of years now. But
it has. But I think it was, they introduced it last year.
Yeah.
And then I didn't like last year's, and now it's on this year's. And I think it just slows the play down.
Like having Wayne Rooney on the pitch, slowing things down.
It is. It's an absolute slugger, and your mind doesn't work as quickly because you're thinking, do I need to do that normal pass, but do I need to do a hard normal pass, or do I need to do a soft driven pass? And it slows your play down. Unless you play it that much, it becomes second nature.
Which people do, so maybe I notice it.
But there's little things like that are just really frustrating. But there are some good points about the new one that I liked. I think they had to revamp the set pieces on it, because they just weren't working for me.
Right.
They were just hitting hope jobbies, really.
Yeah.
So they've revamped that. I think they're better. I much preferred them on it. Yeah, the match day experience is great, but it just feels all a bit sluggish, and it feels a bit counterintuitive. I haven't liked the dribbling system on it for the past couple of years. I don't think it works. Crossing is nigh impossible for me now. There's just loads of little things that I just think I'm either doing it wrong, or they've changed it so much since FIFA 15 that I now don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that might be the case. When I was playing through the demo, I was playing a normal game, and I was not enjoying it. And then I went on to the journey, which is one of like the big things they've added this year. And I chose to play as Alex Hunter as the single player, because I thought I'm sick of controlling all these Burks that aren't responding to what I need. And I had a much better experience playing just as one player. And I felt like then I was like, if I get this game, I'm only going to play as one player for a career. I think it just seemed like an added stress. Like it seemed like an upheaval trying to do everything. But again, the journey itself looks, it's a great thing to have, I think. Regardless of whether it's cheesy, regardless of whether it 100% works, I think having something like that needs to happen in more sports games. I think Chappers has been going on about it being in NBA 2K, and I think having these story modes in sports games are something they really, really should keep doing. I think they're great.
Yeah, I think people, when they play it, they want to be able to have their little cheesy career, don't they? I mean, that's what everyone dreams of, living that sort of lifestyle. So yeah, I think it is a good thing.
Yeah, I'm hoping they keep doing that, and I really want them something. They've done it in Fight Night Champion, and I need them to do it in the next UFC game.
Yeah, you'd love that.
That would be amazing. Yeah, that'd be amazing. More sports games. Give me some sort of career, but even just try it. If it's crap, then don't worry about it. And that's one of the things that, again, we talk about where FIFA's dominant in terms of the mode and the options. That's now another string to its bow.
Yeah,
they've got a lot there for people. So, if the gameplay you can get used to it and you're happy with it, or you're happy with it now, then you look across at PES and you go, what's that, bare bones? Because back in the day, going back to the PS2 era, the Master League was what I used to spend my time playing. Yeah. And FIFA never had anything like that, as dynamic as that, like a rolling season. Now they've got the career mode, which is arguably better. Like, it's much more realistic. You've got Ultimate Team for that crowd, the My Team equivalent on PES. And now you've got this journey mode, and the online aspect of FIFA has always been good.
Co-op seasons are brilliant.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that I enjoyed doing, me and Pee-wee.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, look at that and you think, on the pitch, for us, we prefer PES.
Yeah.
Everything else about FIFA is probably better.
I think that's what makes it so frustrating. Yeah. Is that if they just did that gameplay just that little bit better, and I don't think it's an unfair thing to say about them. I think if they just made that gameplay for me a bit better, it'd almost be the perfect football game, really, at the moment.
They've said for years, didn't they? Gameplay of PES, options and graphics and other things of FIFA, and you got the perfect football game. But that will never happen, unfortunately. And I think that's going to be a somber note to leave this segment of the podcast on.
Yeah.
If you want PES, if you want FIFA, go out and buy it. We're not going to judge you.
But you're wrong if you get FIFA.
Some would say that. Anyway, mate, thanks for joining me on this segment of the podcast. We will catch up soon.
See you later, mate.
Tom Adkins, not Adcock, joins us now to close out the podcast, the main event slot.
Installed again.
Yeah, having to drag people out the doldrums to get them on here. Tom's just come back from a load of traffic, so he's livid.
How's loading deal with that on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, that's not good, is it?
I just had some old fuck as well cut me up. Really weird roundabout. Going around there, and you've got 3 lanes, and you've got 1 to go for Rayleigh, and then 2 to go back to Southend.
Yeah.
So I was in the left-hand lane, and he was in the right, and he starts coming into the left, and I'm in the left. Fucking hell, so I tooted the old bastard. I reckon 70 should be a retest for all these old fucks.
Maybe they'll put them on like some sort of VR kit now, and there'll be like some sort of test they've got to pass. They'll take them. They'll be like rather than risk lives in the car to do the re-examination, they'll go, right, here's this little VR set. Go through the test, see how you're getting on.
Drive Club VR installed. Yeah. We digress.
But yeah, we are here to talk about MGS. MGS is back, but it's not MGS as you know it. It's not Metal Gear Solid. It's Metal Gear Survive. Because at TGS, Konami released about 15 minutes worth of footage of a co-op mission. Yep. Now, we had the announcement beforehand, and I don't think we was overly thrilled or interested in what it was. It sounded weird. And having seen the 15 minutes footage, it is weird. It is odd. And I'm almost lost for words in a way, but for the sake of the podcast, we need to come up with some sort of opinion on it. I mean, what are your initial thoughts of seeing this
Well, on that fateful day when it was announced, I had the notification pop up on my phone. Metal Gear Survive announced. I thought, oh, hello. And then all of a sudden it went, hang on. It's obviously not the daddy, is it?
Yeah,
he's binned off. And there was rumours that they were going to... Well, they did say, didn't they, when it all finished? They said they will continue the Metal Gear franchise.
Yeah.
And everyone was thinking this was going to be the fifth... I know, was it what...
Probably sixth,
was it?
Well... Oh, the third chapter, yeah. So the third act, yeah.
That's it. Everyone was thinking it was going to be that. So I thought, oh, hello. Is it what we was asking for?
Yeah.
But no, we get a trailer for this game. And yeah, I'm trying to view it like as much as it's only got my interest because it is a Metal Gear game. But I'm trying to take that away.
Right.
And think, right, I'm going to be very biased about Metal Gear. Because it's a franchise that we both love, near and dear to our heart.
Yeah.
So, and we obviously got a sour taste from 5 and the whole Kojima stuff.
Yeah.
So take all that away and then try and merit the game on its own.
Vacuum for Metal Gear Survive.
That's it. But it's so hard just because it is fucking Metal Gear 5.
It is unbelievably. It uses the exact same sounds.
Yep.
The engine is. They've not changed at all. The movement of the characters, it just feels like Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
But with zombies, or whatever they are, roaring around in it. And I don't know.
It's all you can sigh for this game. So yeah, it's one of those games. It looks like it's going to be real difficult to play on your own.
Yeah, I think, I mean, the mission they show was what they called a co-op mission. I think it had 4 people on it. Right. Two split off and do one objective, 2 split off and do another objective, and they meet and do the rest of it. But yeah, I'm assuming those type of missions you can only do with others. But yeah, it is going to be a co-op job, isn't it?
That's it. So if I'm playing it on my own, now the what do they call them? The companions, that's what I'm
right, yeah.
The companions in Metal Gear Solid 5 worked really well, didn't they? Like Quiet and fucking Diamond Dog and stuff. Yeah. So are these, say you're playing on your own, these other 3 characters, I'm assuming it's 4 people max.
Yeah.
Well, only from this mission we saw. So are they going to are they going to work out really good, like when you're on your own, is the question.
Or are they even going to exist?
Exactly, yeah. Is it only going to be a co-op game?
Well, I think it will be a co-op only. I don't see them.
Yeah.
I think you'll have to just matchmake with randomers.
Yeah, oh, of course, yeah, a bit like Division style.
Yeah, I think it will be something along those lines. I mean, maybe you can try and tackle it on your own, but
cool. It looks costly though, doesn't it?
It certainly does. I just can't get over how much it feels and looks like.
Yeah,
PS5.
I've got it running in the background now. I'm just watching the trailer again, just to refresh my memory. And and the way they've said it, like at the beginning of it, they say, don't they, that this is one of the missions. It'll be the same that you'll play through missions to progress in the story.
Yeah,
so it's exactly the same as Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah,
and it's just the whole thing about Metal Gear games are their excellent story.
Wow.
And they're and they're fucking mental story, but the characters as well. That's another thing.
Well, it doesn't exist, does it? You just become a faceless mother-based soldier who I assume you customise, which isn't the worst idea. Have a bit of customisation there. You're no longer going to be Snake, but it's just an odd setting. Even the world looks like Afghanistan map. I would be surprised if the map is much different at all.
No,
to be honest, it's skinned a little bit over it, but it's so similar. And we must say, really, they have said it's not going to be a fully priced game,
right?
So it's not going to be the £45 or £50 or £40 over here. It's going to be nearer the £30 mark,
right?
So whether that'll play in its favour, I think, because I don't think they could have got away with doing this a full price game. People would have gone mental. But I still haven't got many high hopes for it. I mean, it's just weird stuff. Like it's all wormhole technology. Looks like they're adding in.
That's the thing. Yeah, this alternate reality. So it leads on from the was it
Ground Zeroes, yeah.
Zeroes, doesn't it? Yeah, it's when the mother base. Spoiler, sorry. When the mother base is being destroyed at the end of Ground Zeroes.
Yeah, the prologue to 5.
That's it. And then all of a sudden, mother base gets destroyed, and these wormholes appear, and now you're placed in an alternate reality, which is no way fucking alternative. It's just like you said, the Afghanistan map.
Yeah.
But with these zombies that have little red crystals sticking out their heads.
Yeah, got bits of metal and shards sticking out.
Yeah.
It's it's a crazy situation.
I mean, the Metal Gear stories have always been fucking mental, but they've never gone this mental.
Nah.
And they questioned Kojima, didn't they? They said, "What do you think about this?" And he instantly said, "I've got nothing to do with me."
Yeah.
And he said the thing that confused him was there was almost like zombies in Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah.
So why is there now more zombies?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's clear. They're using the name to give it a profile. Because if this come out as new Konami nameless project,
yeah.
Well, the thing is, it's two things. It's that people go, oh, Metal Gear. Yeah. I like that. I'll get that. And then also because they've used the tech and the engine so heavily, if this was skinned as anything else, people go, wow, that's just Metal Gear. Like, I feel like they've shot themselves in the foot really by having it so heavily focused on that. They had to call it Metal Gear because it is it is that, isn't it? When you watch it being played, like when you're crawling around or whatever, everything is just so canny of that. It's just that they've added a few bits like this awful melee combat that they've got. There's a guy like during the demo where he's stabbing zombies with a spear, and it just looks really awkward and
it does.
janky.
I'm just watching that bit. Just as you're talking about how bad it looks, I'm just watching. Do you remember the scene where they're putting the Walking Dead sort of metal fences up?
Yeah.
And they're stabbing, and then they've obviously really liked that. What was that, Days Gone?
Yeah.
E3, where they're climbing on top of each other. That fucking World War Z aspect. But it just looks dreadful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh no. So I think the problem is it's getting 4 people to commit to this game and playing it.
Yeah, that's going to be an issue, isn't it? Itself.
Yeah.
It's almost like a Metal Gear Online horde mode.
Yeah.
I mean, this mission. I mean, maybe there's. I can only assume. I mean, I'm just looking at melee combat, and this is awful. Why have they introduced it? But I kind of think that they must. This can't be the only kind of game mode. There must be other bits to this.
Yeah.
Where there's like maybe solo story. I don't know, but it just. Yeah, it's no good, is it? Really?
It just looks like. I know, obviously, the last Metal Gear game wasn't all about stealth. You could go in all guns blazing and stuff. But it just it doesn't look like you have the option to do this. All of a sudden, you're sort of sneaking about, and as soon as you get in the base, they all start flooding in.
Yeah.
So it's causing you all to do the same, but it's very strange.
Yeah, I mean, the annoying thing about this is, had like a co-op Metal Gear game.
Yeah.
If you just said that, sounds
amazing.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to play the end of Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yeah.
Where you've got both characters. That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
People are screaming for. Konami are giving what people are asking for.
Well, they've only met us halfway, haven't they? And they've gone, you do the rest of the wormholes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that to me, like if someone had said that after 5, I'd have gone, that'd be great, but not in this way.
No.
Not in this way whatsoever, and I don't know. It just doesn't look very good. Is the fact of it?
No.
Do you feel like this bastardizes Metal Gear?
It does. Yeah, I hate to see it'd be brilliant if they just left it. They should leave it alone. Actually, now it's done.
Thing is, they tried to carry it on properly. They'd have been set on fire for that as well.
Yeah, that's true. It is a bit of a double-edged sword, isn't it, really?
This is probably less risky in terms of people look at it and go, well, they're not even trying to, include Snake or any of that storyline.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a standalone thing. But it's nowhere near the sort of quality levels of what Rising was, which we were just talking about, funnily enough.
Yeah.
From Platinum. So, would you have preferred something along that side of area where it's completely different. It's not even, Rising for all intents and purposes was a totally different experience to any of the Metal Gear games.
That's right. Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was, and I think that worked so well because it was so different. If it was just, just playing Raiden's bits again, but you're just playing as Raiden, then it would have been a bit like, oh, well, we've done this. The fact was that you're so used to all those stealth elements in the earlier games, and then all of a sudden now you're fucking running around like a lunatic on playing as Raiden. It was a nice change up. But yeah, like you say, it just goes back to this. It really isn't any different.
No.
And I think that's where it's going to fall short, is just how people are so used to the Metal Gear 5 recipe that it's just going to be
toilet.
Absolute toilet, yeah.
Probably.
Just watching the announced trailer as well. This height that the trailer they normally do, don't they? Do CG trailers. They make it look a bit better, but
seen it in. I don't think that was a great demo. I mean,
no,
it doesn't feel. I mean, it's not a full price game, so maybe your expectations have to be tapered somewhat.
Yeah, is that people's excuse now? Game companies' excuse for making a shitter game? Well, we're not going to charge you the full price. I mean, it's a good one to be fair, but how much room does that give you?
Yeah,
I don't know. I suppose anyone can do that though, can't they? If we just had another, they brought out Last of Us 2 and just go, well,
it's only a tenner.
It's only a tenner, but it's the same engine and we're in the same world. You're just playing it from another bloke.
You're playing from Nathan Drake's perspective. It's all linked up, the lore.
Yeah.
The Naughty Dog lore, and then Crash Bandicoot comes in.
That's it.
Turns out he starred it all. But that's the sort of bollocks Konami will come up with for this Metal Gear Survive. That is the sort of nonsense they'll do to it. Is there any way back for this? Like, or are you burying it completely, or are you going to still look on and think, well, maybe?
That's the thing. I mean, it's hard. Like, as a big Kojima and Metal Gear fan, I feel like I want to boycott it and think, fuck off, Konami. Like, you fuck this up.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, I'm a gamer. I like new games.
Yeah.
So I think, I shouldn't be like that. I shouldn't be so biased towards them.
Yeah. I
mean, it's hard to get into this. Just from the footage we've seen. I'd like to see more, but I don't want to make a final decision and say no, that's it. No, get me.
Yeah.
I want to see a bit more, but from what I've seen so far, it's just
It's so similar, but yet at the same time the tone is just not there, so it just feels like it doesn't work. I think that's the problem with it. Like it looks and feels like a Metal Gear game, which for all intents and purposes are great.
Yeah.
I would have actually been happy with a 30 quid game, and you do, I don't know, a couple of dozen missions as a mother-based soldier, but just doing, a new map, using the mechanics from the other Metal Gears, and it not being set in this weird alternate reality. Like those that are watching Stranger Things will probably think, well, are they nicking ideas from that?
Yeah, it does seem like a mishmash of all these things we've seen. Like, we've already mentioned The Walking Dead. And, that Days Gone when the zombies all jumping up and down and stuff.
Yeah.
It does look like they're just trying to take these sort of pop culture acts and think, right, if we just mash this into what we've already got on the computer here for Metal Gear Solid 5,
See if it works.
that could make a game, right? Yeah, it really
Yeah.
does just seem like a big wishy-washy mishmash.
Yeah, it's a shame for what it looks like at the moment.
Yeah.
Do you think, are we ever going to get Metal Gear back?
No.
Well,
I
want them to sell the IP.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I'd like Kojima Productions to buy it.
Get bloody Sony to buy it, and then just do it through that.
That would be awesome. Get it to Naughty Dog. They'd make a great game.
Yeah, they would. Yeah.
But no, sadly, I think the Snake character in that world has now gone. I can't see Konami sort of mending bridges now. Can you?
No, yeah, it's definitely done.
It's definitely done, isn't it? A shame, but that's the end. Maybe a movie tie-in or a remake of the originals, possibly down the line. But again, that would be. Is that? I don't know if that's something they could do. I suppose they could still, couldn't they?
Yeah,
Make the older games.
they did it they did it on the GameCube, didn't they? For Metal Gear Solid 1, they got Twin Snakes and incorporated a lot of what was in Metal Gear Solid 2 into that.
Yeah,
because Metal Gear Solid 5 does play a lot differently to any of the others.
Yeah,
Not sure how you would get that into Metal Gear Solid 1, which is quite linear in terms of its narrative, but
yeah,
there's probably a way of doing it or just incorporating it.
yeah. Did you see they made they like revamped Metal Gear Solid 3, or like the cinematics using the new engine?
Yeah.
But they put it on like a fruit machine in Japan.
Yeah, they did, and
That was confusing. So I thought, but the stuff from that looked fucking great, and that game could work. Like, it was quite linear still, but
yeah, they could just expand that and make that open-ish world, couldn't they?
Yeah. It'd be weird to see. Yeah, it'd be so. So what they're saying 2017 for.
Yeah, for Metal Gear Survive, that is a 2017 release date. I'm not sure if we've got an actual full release date on it, but
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see. I don't see how, even if it was a half decent game,
yeah,
I still think it'll get crapped on.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of there'll be a lot of hate towards this game, I think, because of the whole Kojima thing, which, it is a bit unfair. But, yeah, it's difficult.
I don't think people would mind if it wasn't just a rip-off of the gameplay, but then just chucked into this cauldron of nonsense almost.
Yeah.
I don't know. They had to do something with it, I guess.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it, like you said, they just stick the Metal Gear sign on it, and people going to sort of say, "Oh, it's a new Metal Gear game out," without delving into it. And then once they do, they go, "Hang on a minute, fucking hell, what's this?"
Yeah. Day one for you?
Not yet. not yet. Like I said, I'd like to see some more things, but it's going to need to do a lot to get me on that day one purchase list.
Yeah, I'd just like some side ops. I'd have been happy.
Yeah.
Just 30 quid, side ops, doesn't have to be Snake, can be just use the mechanics, new location, little self-contained story. Thank you very much. Don't bring these wormholes into it. I mean, there's one bit where they use a sheep to distract the zombies. They put like a photon balloon to it and hang it up in there, and they see it and they walk over and like trying to get it. Chucks a Molotov, burns them all. I was like, that's not the worst tactic. It's like, I will send the sheep back to Mother Base. Oh, wormhole just goes through that.
That is thick. They're stuck in this reality as well, don't they? Get wormholed out. If he's getting a sheep out, why can't he just get in that one?
I think
himself out.
I think there's an alternate Mother Base or base type thing, so it's going back to there.
Oh right, okay. Oh, I see. Oh yeah, that's how the first one did, didn't it? Right.
It scares me that they've come up with something madder than Kojima.
Yeah, I'd like to know how many are working on this that worked on Metal Gear Solid 5.
They did say, didn't they? There were people working on it, but the janitor? I don't know. It looks like he was. Maybe he stuck around and sorts out the offices still. But I can't. This doesn't seem like. It is a grab of the current engine, the gameplay mechanics there, the sounds, everything's still there. Just nicked it and gone, which they're entitled to do. It's their IP, and then just reformatted it slightly and gone. There's some awful melee combat. There's some brain dead zombies. Get it online, get it co-op, and we'll just see what happens. Not dead yet, but it wasn't an impressive kind of demo, and I kind of want to. I do have thoughts about getting it just to see if it is a car.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I mean, anything with Metal Gear, such a fan of the franchise and stuff. I've said before that someone could polish a turd and just write Metal Gear, and I'll be interested in it. So the fact it carries that Metal Gear name, it has got me sniffing around. But it's difficult to want to buy it and try and enjoy it. It just looks like a game I'm not going to enjoy.
I'm just going to think of it as a game called Survive.
Yeah.
I'm going to take away the Metal Gear.
Take the Metal Gear away. And then, like you say, it just comes back to, hang on, this is Metal Gear.
Yeah. We'll see. It's a piece of craziness. We will have to just wait and see. 2017 is the penciled in release date. What we've seen so far, demo wise, didn't look great to me, and the trailers just seemed off the walls, which I'm not against, but I just
No.
it was an excuse just to include the Metal Gear world, really, and what they've come up with is mad. It's actually quite funny if you watch the trailer. All of like the relevant people to Metal Gear Solid, the franchise, like in the trailer for Metal Gear Survive, they're all it's quite like iconic the way they're all in the helicopter and they're flying away from the wreckage of Metal Gear Solid Survive or Metal Gear Survive. So they're all flying away in this helicopter like safe. They're out of this mess, and then everyone else gets stuck in. It's almost like a real life mother-based game that's just been left in a carcass, wormed out of there, and they've just come up with that. But all the main people that have any sort of tangible interest to go in, they're like, get me out of here, get me to Metal Gear Solid 5. Dear me. Well, that'll do for Metal Gear.
Yeah. Although there is one thing that will get me onto a day one purchase.
David Hayter skin.
Exactly. Number one, get him installed. That will really kick the shit out of Kojima. That will. They get him.
Do you think he would do it if they said?
I don't know.
A cameo.
He sounded bitter, didn't he, when the whole Sutherland thing come out that he weren't told firsthand. He got through an email or something that he was told he won't be doing it. So there's got to be a bit of hate in there for him. So I wonder if he thinks, right, here's my chance.
Yeah.
Got to offer him some big dough.
Yeah. I don't know. I think maybe even he'll look at it and go,
yeah, that's true.
He
must have a lot of fans that.
I wonder what Konami are actually going to do, because that's the other than like PES, which they publish, and they've got an in-house team, PES development. That doesn't sell loads. It never does, because FIFA sells tenfold, whether you agree with that or not.
Yeah, no, definitely.
They've got this. This is like the only other game I can see them announce. They've got all these IPs sitting there.
Yeah, Castlevania, get another one of them out.
So it's all sorts.
Did they mention that they were going to be focusing on mobile gaming, or have I just made that up?
I think there was a mention that they were looking towards those slot machines, Pachenko's or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Called. But they did say after like 5 that they're not giving up on console gaming, but
right.
This is what they're serving up. I don't think many
people yeah. Don't think they're going to have a choice soon, really, are they?
No.
But
yeah. They used to publish so many games.
Yeah.
They're huge. I don't want them to sink, because the more they go under, the more these firms that go under, the less options you've got. And
that's very true.
We don't know what Metal Gear Solid Survive is going to be like. It doesn't look like it's going to interest us for now, but who knows? It's sometimes my curiosity, and this won't be because it's a Metal Gear game, just because I just wonder whether it is going to be as bad as what people are saying, if they do say that, and whether my expectations are, met with that, or whether it does surprise me and it comes out and it's actually like half decent.
It could be a blow. Have we got any big events coming up from now until say Q2?
You got PSX in December, but I don't know if they'll have Metal Gear Survive there, to be honest.
Is it?
There'll be some PAX going on in the States. There's always like a PAX West or East knocking about early next year, I'd say.
And that's it is Xbox One and it PS4, Xbox One and Steam.
Yeah.
Same. So they're sticking with their things. They had enough success on the console, on the Master Race for 5, didn't they? So sticking with it. It seems, but it's just gonna be one of those watch those space things, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll release some more footage at some point randomly, and we're back to discuss it. But I think for this particular segment, we'll close it down. 25 minutes of moaning. You've really ruined everyone's week that's listened to this.
Moaning of life.
Yeah, that's it. If you want to get in contact with us or find out what we're doing in the week whilst we're not recording the podcast, head over to dimpdigital.com. It's got all our audio, written and video content there, so make sure you check that out and check out what we're actually doing there. Some great written articles by Destiny Dave, aka Lappers, so make sure you read those, because they're very, very good indeed. That's it for now though. Game over. It's goodbye from Adkins.
Ta-da.
It's goodbye from me, Apps. Thanks for your time, and ta-da.